Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing two Heritage Field watches from Timor Watch. On the left we have the Heritage Field WWW, which is £940. On the right we have the Heritage Field ATP, which is £1,100 respectively. Both of these watches are available from timorwatch.com. So Timor Watch are based in the UK, but they make their watches in Switzerland. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the Timor Heritage Field watches come in this black cardboard Timor outer watch box. One removes the lid, pulls down the flap, and as you can see, the watch box is protected by a foam panel which protects it from any damage in shipping. This is the watch box itself, made from solid wood, matte black finish to it, absolutely flawless, and I think they deserve full credit for not cutting any corners with regards to the quality of the watch box. The hinged lid opens very well, it's spring loaded, and also the interior of the watch box is fully lined with a black vinyl plastic to a high standard. The watch sits in the base on a padded pillow cushion, as one would expect, again nicely fully upholstered with a black vinyl fabric, and I really like it. I think the presentation is excellent and I like the execution of the watch box. With regards to the other items one gets with the watch comes with this black cardboard envelope, as you can see, and inside the envelope contains several cards which I'll show you. The first card details the history of the Heritage Field watch, and on the reverse we have the specification of the watch, including the movements used and also the finishing of the watch, which is either bead blasted or alternatively brushed satin finish. So nice to get the heritage of the watch and also the specification. One also gets the warranty card, which details the terms and conditions of the 12-month international warranty, and this is a press example piece, but if you purchase the piece from timorwatch.com, the reference number of the piece and also the date of purchase will be filled in. So very nice presentation. And there is also an instruction card which details the operation of the winding, the time setting, and also there's another instruction card which details how to fit the NATO strap correctly through the spring bars. Clear, concise diagrams and clear, concise instructions. Very nice presentation. Now, I understand that Timor Watch are currently in the process of printing information booklets to go with the watches, and they will be ready shortly. One also gets this metal medal from Timor Watch Company, as you can see. Has the Union Jack and a watch in the centre on the reverse, and on the front we have the Timor Watch T brand emblem. So very nice to get these kinds of accessories with the watch. And lastly, one also gets this Timor Watch tag, Timor on one side, and we have the brand emblem T on the other side. So very nice attention to detail, and I like these accessories. Now, with regards to the two watches, I will explain their background first before talking through their specifications. So, on the left we have the black dial version, which is the Heritage Field WWW. On the right we have the cream dial version, which is the Heritage Field ATP version. So, firstly I'll explain the cream dial version, the ATP. ATP stands for Army Trade Pattern, and Army Trade Pattern watches were used after World War I, and they were first issued in 1938. With regards to the black dial version on the left, this is the WWW. So in the 1940s, during the Second World War, the British Ministry of Defence commissioned 12 watch brands to make watches for their military personnel. One of those 12 brands was Timor Watch Company, and I'm pleased to report that this Timor watch, the Heritage Field WWW, is a faithful heritage reissue of that original World War II watch produced in the 1940s for the British Ministry of Defence. Those 12 watches have become known as the Dirty Dozen, and they are now highly collectible by military watch collectors, and when they do come up for auction, Dirty Dozen watches sell for very large sums, as one could imagine, due to their rarity and also due to their high collectability. So I really like the fact that Timor Watch are still producing watches. These are Swiss made, and Timor Watch is based in the UK, as I've discussed. But this WWW, the black dial version on the left, is a faithful heritage reissue of that original 1940s piece. So the dimensions and the specifications of both watches are the same, so I'm just going to refer to this black one, but I will also show you the ATP cream dial version in the review. With regards to specifications, this is the Timor Heritage Field WWW, 36.5mm case diameter. It has a 45.5mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 11mm, and it has a lug width of 18mm. The seatbelt weave nylon NATO strap is 18mm at the lugs, and it's straight. It does not taper down to the brushed satin finish, buckle and tang. Solid 316L grade stainless steel buckle and tang, brushed satin finish throughout, finished to a high standard, and I really like the bead blasted effect to it. It's absolutely gorgeous, just beautiful to look at. It's going to be durable because it's a good heavy gauge of metal. I like the fact these square holes are welded so they're not going to fray and split. And the two keepers are also matte bead blasted effect, as you can see. Good heavy gauge of metal to the stainless steel keepers. So plenty of holes in the seatbelt weave nylon NATO strap, as you can see, which allow for plenty of fine-tuning adjustment. Good thick seatbelt weave nylon NATO fabric material, so it's not going to split or crack with regular use. And I really like it. I like the fact the two stainless steel keepers are stitched either side, flawless stitching throughout. That prevents them sliding out of position. So with regards to the rest of the specification, flat sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside. We have patina lume, which is super luminova, on the printed dial and also the baton style hands. Subdial at 6 o'clock, which is large and also has a rail track chapter ring. So very well executed dial design. I like the use of the broad arrow as per the original from World War II. And it really does follow the classic ATP Army Trade Pattern dial design of military issued pieces from the 1940s. So absolutely beautiful symmetrical dial layout. And I think they've done a very good job of matching the patina superluminova on the baton hands and the printed indices. The crown is solid stainless steel, coin edge finished, matte bead blasted effect as per the case, and the bezel absolutely beautiful to look at, flawless finishing throughout. So let's test the crown action. Now it's a push-pull crown rather than a screw-down crown as per the original. So in the closed position, one can manually wind it to top up the power reserve to its maximum 40 hours. Absolute pleasure to manually wind the movement, which is the Sellita SW260-1, and one can build up the tension in the mainspring to its maximum 40 hours. Now I want to explain something about the movement used. Both of these watches, the Heritage Field WWW and the Heritage Field ATP, the black dial and the cream dial versions, are available with two movement options, automatic or manual wind. Both of the pieces in this review are automatic, so they use the Sellita SW260-1. The manual wind versions, which are the same price, use the Sellita SW216-1. The architecture of the SW260-1 is very similar to other SW200 series automatic movements, but this one has 31 joules. Now I want to explain something which I want to give credit to Timor watch for. They have modified the Sellita SW260-1 to remove the date wheel and the date complication, because the SW260-1, which has a subdial for the seconds at 6, as you can see, has a date complication, but this isn't a date complication piece. There's no date window, so they have deleted the date wheel and the date complication. They have modified the Sellita SW260-1. The positive benefit of that modification is, unlike other SW260-1s, there is no phantom date setting position. So when I pull out the crown to the first click position, it is the time setting position. If you look closely at the second hand, you'll see I have now hacked the movement when I pull it out, and this is now the time setting position. Usually with an SW260-1, there is a first click position on the crown winding stem, and that is the date complication, the date setting position, but they have deleted that, so it's actually a better system. One just has one click for setting the time. As you can see, it hacks the movement. If you look at the second hand, it is now hacked, it's stopped dead. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. So Timor watch deserve full credit because it is expensive to modify a Sellita SW260-1. They could have just left it with a phantom date wheel position, but they haven't. They have removed the date complication, and that really is perfect execution. So the crown execution is excellent. It provides an effective hermetic seal to 50 meters of water resistant, which is perfectly acceptable for a field watch. And I really like it. I like the manual winding, and I also like the feeling of it. It pushes back in with a good positive click. So I'll show you the case back, which is another one of my favourite aspects of the piece. Screw down solid stainless steel case back made from 316L grade stainless steel, as one would expect. Matte bead blasted effect, which matches the case. As you can see, it's engraved to a high standard with the specification. We've also got the T brand emblem and www, and as you can see, the piece is numbered. This is number 120. I like the fact that it's got nice large milled slots in it, and the screw down stainless steel case back provides an effective hermetic seal to 50 meters, which is perfectly acceptable for a field watch. So nicely executed, and I like the finishing to it with the matte bead blasted effect. So just bear with me, and I'm going to put the NATO strap back on it, and then we'll do a lume test. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Now I've got high expectations of this lume because it's Patina Superluminova. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is clearly C3 Patina Superluminova. It's glowing incredibly brightly on the printed indices and also the baton hands. One detail I like about the dial layout is if you look closely at the 12 o'clock index on the dial, we have two dots either side of the index which give good orientation to the dial. One can clearly differentiate which is the 12 o'clock index. The baton hands are glowing brightly, and it's easy to differentiate between the hour hand and the longer minute hand. So I love the symmetry of the dial with the absence of a date complication. It really is very easy to read, and the quality of the C3 Superluminova, which is Patina Superluminova, is outstanding. Timor watch deserve full credit because they haven't cut any corners with regards to the quality of the lume. Right, so just bear with me, and we'll also test the quality on the ATP version, which is the cream dial version, as you can see. Now this uses the same lume. It uses Patina Superluminova. So I'm going to charge it up to its absolute maximum, and we'll see what the performance is on the ATP cream dial version. Right, so that's now fully charged, and again, it has not disappointed. The lume on the baton hands is glowing incredibly brightly, and it's also glowing brightly on the printed indices. Again, we have the two dots either side of the 12 o'clock index on the dial. This is outstanding. This is top grade C3 Superluminova. I love the patina tone of it. The colour match on the printed indices and also the baton hands is good. Same colour, same green colour tone to the Superluminova, so they've got that correct. And the performance is 10 out of 10. So it's good to see they haven't cut any corners on both the www black dial version and also the ATP version. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot, and you can see how the www version fits on my 8-inch wrist. Right, so 36.5mm case diameter, which may seem small to you, but bear in mind that was the original proportions of World War II watches, such as the Dirty Dozen watches I have referred to, including the Timor watch. If you're a collector with a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, you are going to find the 36.5mm case diameter of the head of the piece to fit you to perfection. They've made the correct choice by using the 18mm seatbelt weave nylon NATO strap. Really, 18mm perfectly balances the 36.5mm head of the piece. It's a very low profile piece for an automatic, only 11mm thick because it has a flat sapphire crystal. It's also got a relatively short lug to lug measurement of only 45.5. So again, if you're a collector with a smaller 6 to 7 inch wrist, you will find the proportions of this piece to fit you to perfection. Very aesthetically pleasing with the matte bead blasted effect to the case, the bezel. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The Patina Superluminova on the baton hands and also the printed dial really do complement each other. This is a faithful heritage reissue of the original World War II watch. Everything about the dimensions, the proportions, and also the lack of heft. It's a very lightweight piece on the seatbelt weave NATO strap, only 94 grams. So it actually feels weightless on wrist. It feels like an invisible watch. Very comfortable to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. Clear AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal works very well. And I like the large Subdial for the seconds at 6 o'clock. It's clearly legible, just very aesthetically pleasing, good symmetry. This is the perfect field watch. It really is very true to the original Dirty Dozen version of the Timor watch from the 1940s. So I like it. I think it's very well executed. Now I'll also give you a wrist shot of the cream dial version, the ATP, for comparison. Now there is a notable difference between the two. They do have the same weight, 94 grams, and they do have the same dimensions. But this ATP version has a brushed satin finish throughout, as you can see. The bezel is brushed satin finish, the flanks of the case, and this is something you might need to consider because the black dial version that I've just showed you, the WWW, has a matte bead blasted effect. I like both versions. If you're a purist and you're going for the original World War II look, really you should go for the WWW, which is the bead blasted effect. But if you prefer the earlier version, if you like World War I watches, I would suggest you go for the ATP, the Army Trade Pattern watch, because this was first issued in 1938 and the brushed satin finishing to the 316L grade stainless steel is more from that time. So that's something to bear in mind. You have two options: brushed satin finishing on the ATP compared to bead blasted matte effects for the WWW version. I'll just show you the case back for comparison. As you can see, again, it's concentric brushed satin finishing, which is absolutely gorgeous. I love the way it catches the light. As you can see, the concentric brushed satin finishing. It's engraved to the same high standard, as you can see, with ATP. And it really does contrast very well with the matte bead blasted effect of the WWW version. I really like this brushed satin finishing to it. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, this is just a fraction too short for my 8-inch wrist. As you can see, the strap is just a bit too short to engage the end of the strap in the two keepers. But however, if you're a collector with a 6 to 7-inch wrist, you'll find it no difficulty whatsoever. Exactly the same dimensions as the WWW black dial version, 36.5mm case diameter, 45.5mm lug to lug measurement, and the same low profile 11mm. So this is easily going to slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. An ideal daily wear piece. 94 grams means it wears like it's invisible. It feels weightless on wrist. Absolutely gorgeous, very aesthetically pleasing cream dial, and it also complements the honey coloured top grade leather strap. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Flawless stitching to the top grade leather strap. And I love the patina lume. It really complements the cream dial. It gives that vintage aesthetic of a First World War watch issued in 1938, for example. Absolutely gorgeous. Nice Arabic numerals on the ATP version, on the subdial with the seconds. And it's slightly different because there is no broad arrow on the dial of the ATP version. Black Arabic numerals contrast very well with the matte cream dial. So difficult to choose between the two because they both have their merits. I personally like the WW black dial version best, but it is subjective. Now, one detail I like about this is they've used quick release spring bars, so one doesn't need a spring bar tool to remove the spring bars from the head of the piece in order to change the strap. And they deserve credit for that because they could have used conventional spring bars and then one would need a spring bar tool, but the quick release spring bars make changing the strap easy. The top grain leather strap is highly executed, as you can see, beautiful stitching, flawless throughout. And even the detail on this watch is incredible. On the underside of the buckle and tang, we have Timor engraved, and that's something one doesn't often see. Initially, I thought it was sterile because it didn't say Timor on the top side, but looking at the underside, we can see it has Timor engraved. So the quality of the finishing to this top grain leather strap is just very good. It's thick, but it's very soft and supple, which indicates it's a very high grade of leather. Plenty of holes in the strap to allow for fine-tuning the adjustment, so it clearly is a good quality leather strap. Right, so lastly, I'll discuss the movement used in detail because, as I've discussed, this is one of my favourite aspects of these two pieces. Now, both of these pieces are available with automatic or alternatively manual wind movements. The prices of the pieces are the same, regardless of whether you choose a manual wind or an automatic. The black dial version on the right which is the WWW, is £940, regardless of whether you have the automatic or the manual wind version. The cream dial version on the left, the ATP, is £1,100, regardless of whether you have the manual wind or the automatic. So you can either have the SW260-1 automatic or the SW216-1 manual. With regards to the specifications of the automatic, which is what these two pieces have, the SW260-1, it has 31 joules, it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. It has hand winding and hacking, which are used for complications, and the power reserve is 40 hours. Now I'm pleased to report that the SW260-1s used in these two pieces have been very well regulated by Timor watches. The cream dial ATP version on the left is running consistently at plus 3 seconds per day. The black dial version, WWW, on the right is regulated to plus 4 seconds per day. So very good accuracy from the SW260-1. So the SW260 is a reliable, well-proven workhorse Swiss movement made by Solita in Switzerland, and I think it's the appropriate choice because these are Swiss-made pieces and they have quality Swiss-made movements. Now the question is, do you go for the automatic version, the SW260-1, or do you go for the manual wind version, the SW216-1? Really it's subjective. It depends on whether you are a purist and you prefer a military heritage watch to be manual wind like the originals were in the 1940s, or if you prefer the convenience of an automatic. Personally, I prefer the automatic because one also has the advantage of being able to top up the power reserve by manually winding. And I think that really there's no negative to having the automatic version because it's only 11mm thick, which is very low profile for a automatic Solita powered piece, the SW260. I would expect an automatic piece to be 13mm, so to get it down to 11mm really is the minimum, and Timor watch deserve full credit for that. So lastly, I'll summarise the pieces. What do I think of them overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch for my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So firstly, let's consider the cream dial version, the ATP. This is £1,100 with the automatic movement. It's the same price as the manual. Yes, I consider it to be excellent quality, and yes, I consider it to be excellent value. One is getting a Swiss-made watch with a quality Swiss-made movement, the SW260-1 made by Solita. Regulated very well, the specification is very strong. We've got clear AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal, 40 hours of power reserve, 50 meters of water resistance, so it's the perfect field watch personified. I like the ATP dial layout, the Army trade pattern dial, and really this is a faithful heritage reissue of those Army trade pattern watches first issued in 1938. Timor Watch have got everything correct because they have produced a heritage reissue to modern day specifications with sapphire crystal, but they have still retained the vintage aesthetic of an Army trade pattern watch. So this is a very well executed ATP. So let's consider the WWW, which is the black dial version. So this is a faithful heritage reissue of the Dirty Dozen Timor watch from the 1940s used in the Second World War. Again, Timor watch deserve full credit because they have produced a very well executed heritage reissue of that 1940s field watch, but they've upgraded it to modern day specifications. For example, it has superluminova on the dial and hands rather than using radium, which would have been used in the Second World War. And also it has anti-reflective coating, which is a notable benefit, and the movement is automatic, the Solita SW260-1. The original would have been manual wind. So one has all the benefits of modern day specification. Sapphire crystal is more scratch resistant than acrylic, for example, plexiglass or hesselite. And it's very accurate, as I've discussed, +3 and +4 for the ATP and the WW respectively. So I like everything about it. It's a high quality Swiss-made watch with a high quality Swiss-made movement, the SW260-1 made by Solita in Switzerland. 50 meters of water resistance is perfectly acceptable, and a push-pull crown is perfectly acceptable on a field watch. So yes, I consider it to be excellent quality, and yes, I consider it to be excellent value. Now this is £940, and I really think that for a heritage reissue of a Dirty Dozen watch with a Swiss movement made in Switzerland. That is the correct price point. So I'm going to highly recommend both the WWW, and I'm also going to highly recommend the ATP version for your consideration. I think these are two outstanding watches, and I think Timor Watch deserve full credit because they have got the balance correct between making a heritage reissue but keeping them faithful to their originals from the Second World War and the First World War respectively. So I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Timor Watch Heritage Field WWW and Heritage Field ATP. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.